Well, Ventures gang, are you ready for a show? Because we are under the influence.
We've had a lot to drink this morning, and we're very excited. And we're just going to sit here and drink, and for an hour, slowly get more inebriated.
I'll do a timeout. We're not really drunk. We're not really inebriated. This is about influential albums.
And artists.
And artists.
Or songs. Or types of alcohol. Like 99 Bananas.
Yeah. Just anything that has music that's had an influence on us and on the world.
Yeah. And most of these artists that we're going to talk about, I mean, this is not groundbreaking by any means.
No.
But most of these artists that we're going to talk about both had a great influence on our tastes, on our musical direction through our lives, and consequently on a great deal of other people's. So, I mean, there are different ways to look at these types of things, and you can go through our essential albums and probably find a lot of these artists within that, but it's deeper than that. It's kind of what lit the spark for our musical tastes, basically.
Yeah, it's stuff that lit the spark, or you can tell from the stuff that's influenced us. It's like this begot that begot that.
Yeah, I mean, there is a family tree.
Yes.
A musical family tree from whence all of these things came.
Yeah.
And it really is interesting when you dig into these artists and these albums. There are engineers that are in common with each other between bands, between early bands and later bands, and there are producers and songwriters. I mean, it's an amazing thing when you look at this family of music, and that's what we wanted to explore with you guys today. What else do we want to explore with these folks? Well, we want you guys to go to our YouTube channel if you are not, and subscribe, like. We want you to go to our socials, like, subscribe, comment, share. And also, how about the Fourth Wall page? Because it's kind of our home away from our YouTube home, and you can see behind the scenes type stuff. What else can people get there, John?
They can get some goodies. You can get a T-shirt, the stickers.
You can get an impossible to buy hat. Any of these things that you want to get, you can go there. John, when do you think was like the most impressionable time for you from a music standpoint?
Well, my theory is this happens with everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think your most influential time with music is about a 10-year span. Mm-hmm. It's about the time from turning, let's say 15 to 25.
Probably. Yeah, I think mine was a little younger because I was just bombarded with music from the time from as long as I can remember, from about 5, 6 is when I scratched the hell out of my mom's Beatles records, Mr. Russell.
Ba-bum-bump.
It's been a while. I think it's different for everybody, but I think most people who consider themselves to be music fans have that span of time where they are just really headlong into not necessarily an artist, but a type of music or an influence like that.
Yeah, that's where your kind of your foundation is built.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen in the high school years. I mean, that's just the way it happens.
Yeah, it's a natural progression.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then high school and early 20s, high school, college. I mean, for people who didn't go to college, the early 20s are still very influential because now you've got a little bit of income, you're working, and you're going to see shows and you're going to see stuff that maybe you'd never heard of, and that's going to change your whole trajectory.
So that's basically what this show is just digging into those things that really piqued our interest at whatever time that was.
Yeah.
And what is your first one?
Well,
I bet I can guess.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is do it in kind of chronological order. Not chronological for me, but when the
Releases came
when
out.
the releases came out.
Okay. Well,
Because-
I can't count, so I'm not going to do
Yeah,
that.
you're not going to count. So the first one is a 1967 release. The Velvet Underground and Nico. And
Classic.
this is not the Peel version. I do have a Repop Peel version.
I've had that repop in my cart probably 10 times.
A
And I just
number of
haven't,
times.
I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger on it because I do like this album. It is different.
It is way different.
Yeah.
And without this album, I don't think a lot of stuff would have even happened because it really was groundbreaking.
It was groundbreaking. I can't imagine what it was like to hear it for the first time, as like a 15 or 20-year-old when it was released. But I got to tell you, when I listened to this, I got it on CD, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. I hear the roots of what we all know as alternative music in this record.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, big time.
And you listen to who it influenced: David Bowie, Television, REM, Sonic Youth, the Jesus and Mary Train,
T-Rex.
T-Rex, Mazzy Star, YOLO Tango, The Strokes, Pavement. It just goes on and on.
Right. Well, didn't they say that like this album,
Sold like 30,000 copies
But-
when it was released.
but caused like 1 million people to start bands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
You can't. I mean, it's not one of those, and it's one of those albums that I think anybody who listens to music has heard of.
Yeah.
But I'd say a lot of them, once again, don't happen to have that album and don't know that much about it. Well, you don't even have it.
I don't, not on vinyl. And it's now with the ability to look back on collecting records, basically my whole life, but since we've been doing this seems like a really silly album to have on CD, doesn't it? I mean, there are a lot of
Yeah.
artists and albums that I think, man, that sounds so much better on vinyl. And we've talked about it. I think Bowie sounds awesome on vinyl. Kiss just seems like it should be on vinyl. But to have this album on CD just seems stupid. But I guess what I was going to, I don't even know what I was going to say. But the thing that is interesting about this too is their association with Andy Warhol, which you kind of have to question if that wasn't there and their relationship with him and Nico in that, neck deep in that New York art world.
Yeah.
Would we be talking about these guys were it not for Warhol's influence?
Well, I think Lou Reed would have eventually found his way
Yeah.
into the music scene.
Yeah.
And his vocals combined with Nico's are just it's haunting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of spooky.
It is. I mean, when you're considering, this really isn't a popular music release.
No.
I think it's lumped in as one, but this, like I said, this is alternative music at the very beginning of alternative music.
Yeah. And it's just it's funny. I love the way they lump genres. So they're called anything from art rock, avant-garde, experimental rock, proto-punk. I don't know what that is. Avant pop.
Avant pop. I would take pop out of it.
Yeah.
But art rock
Yeah.
seems,
There are some poppy songs on it,
yeah.
but there are some other songs that are just not poppy at
Yeah,
all.
like Waiting for the Man is not a pop song.
No, Femme Fatale is kind of it's not really poppy, but it's more of a pop standard song.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to turn this around. So you have talked about this image
Yeah.
before. They replaced it in original pressings. It was an image of an actor,
Yeah.
right?
And then they had to, I think they put Lou in.
Yeah, yeah. It just feels 60s, and it feels like performance art.
Yeah. And I mean, when side 2 kicks off with a song Heroin, that's, over 7 minutes long.
Yeah. That's another thing is songs that are that long were not really a thing.
No. I mean, but they've got plenty of under 3-minute songs. So it's not like everything is a long song. I mean, Venus and Furs is over 5 minutes, but they were really doing their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably why their shadow is so long in popular music, because I mean, in retrospect, they were very, very original and different.
Oh yeah.
And with the help of Mr. Warhol and the Peeling Banana cover, they've cemented their place in music history for sure.
Yeah, and influenced, I would say thousands, but it's probably hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of bands.
That's an excellent one to start with. Well, my first one, I've already mentioned the Beatles and scratching my mom's Beatles records. I remember this. The one my mom had was Meet the Beatles, and it looked a little different than this. This is actually the Beatles' second album, but the reason that I'm talking about this one is, first, this is a French pressing of that. If you look at the hype sticker, it's in French. I found this at Half Price Books last fall, and I had to have it. I knew that there were new pressings and mixes of these records coming out, because this was from 2009.
Yeah.
When they did the box set. But the French hype sticker, thumbs up.
That did it for you.
It did, and it's rectangular, which is Jay approved. This is the first album that I remember, probably when I was 5 or 6 years old, my mom allowing me to take and put on the turntable and start and listen to myself. If I had kids right now, I'm not sure I'd let them take my records out of the jackets, put it on the turntable, start it, and listen to it. But my mom did. And I just listened to these guys over and over and over. And it's almost cliche at this point to talk about the importance of the Beatles, because I think it's, in a way, it's kind of been beaten into everybody's head. But at the other side of that coin is their music stands the test of time, and it stands up to all of that scrutiny. And I really, truly believe that 300 years from now, when people are doing a podcast about music, they're still going to be talking about the Beatles, kind of the way we talk about Beethoven and,
Oh, yeah.
all of them. And so I had to talk about this. I'm going to turn this around. You just basically have the blank slate jazz treatment on the back here. But like I said, this is actually their second album. See, at first when the Beatles were starting, Capitol wasn't really all that into them, if you can believe that. And so another label, VJ, released some Beatles stuff. And then you had Canada releasing different stuff on different labels. I mean, looking back now,
It was the Wild West.
it was the Wild West, but for Capitol Records to say, and then to look back at how much money they have made, just from a strictly a record company point of view, how much money they've made from this, them dragging their feet. Can you imagine if they had never actually signed the Beatles and none of this stuff would have occurred? I mean, this musical revolution would look totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't happen that way, but I've always loved the cover of this and the portrait. I think it's one of the coolest album covers ever. just because, you know, they've got those haircuts and
It's so iconic.
oh
too.
yeah. I mean, they were forging a new path
Yeah.
in the music industry, in the pop culture, kind of sprung from all of this. Then you know, they were kind of the precursors. Everybody talks about Kiss in the 70s, merchandising everything. It started with the Beatles.
Yeah.
And it continues with the Beatles. So it won't be long. All I've got to do, all my loving, till there was you, please, Mr. Postman, roll over Beethoven. That was a big one. I loved that, and that was George wrote that one and sang it. You really got a hold on me, which is a Smokey Robinson song. Money, that's what I want. I mean, these guys. If you can imagine like being 20 or 21 and being in the middle of just the tornado that happened, you know, it's pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
by the way, I know me and the guys talked about it before we started recording, but starting today, the day before Thanksgiving, the Beatles anthology documentaries have been remastered and put back together, and there's an extra episode. Those are all available on Disney Plus. So I know what I'll be watching over the holiday weekend. But yeah, with the Beatles, I mean, for me, everything kind of started there and just compiled as I got older. And like I said, it was early for me. I was like 5, 6 years old listening to
Yeah,
this.
and I listened to the early Beatles. I had the Red album.
Oh,
And it was because my parents were older and they had albums, but it was like Slim Whitman and Benny Goodman.
Montavani,
Yeah.
Lawrence Welk.
They didn't have so much of that. It was just not stuff that I was really into.
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of had to find my own way.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, we were also going to talk about, well, where did I put it? This, I mean, you know, Revolver is within the Beatles catalog is kind of the where they really just went in their own direction.
yeah,
And John wanted to talk about this, but I mean, everything from the cover of this to the styles of music they were recording and the things that they were doing. I mean, think about it. They were 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years into this.
yeah. And this one is pivotal. Revolver's pivotal because that's the year the Beatles quit touring.
Yeah.
And you can hear it on this album that they've decided, hey, we're going to be a studio band.
And do things that,
Yeah, because recording changed. You know, you hear a lot more sitar.
yeah.
They're pushing the limits with what is possible on recording music.
Yeah, and the one everybody points to with the Beatles is Sgt. Pepper's, but it all started here.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to mention that they are their own thing. I know that there's always going to be some naysayer out there that says "F the Beatles." Well, you know, those are needles in haystacks.
Yes.
What's your next one, man?
So next, we're keeping it. We're trying to go in an order, and next will be a release from 1973. The Stooges' Raw Power. And you know, the funny thing is, I kind of listened to the Stooges, but I was not really in those influential years really into them.
Yeah.
But the more you start listening to stuff you're really into, so many of those bands list the Stooges as a major influence.
I mean, they're basically hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
There, you can say this was 73, so was
This was their third album.
yeah. So you had Funhouse before this, and then the self-titled, which I think was 69 or 70.
Yeah.
Something like that.
69, I believe.
I mean, everything that we know about punk music, you know, basically started.
Nope. Funhouse was 70.
Okay, Funhouse was 70. I mean, these guys are from Detroit playing a type of music that really nobody had heard before.
No.
And, you know, it's so easy to point to the big bands that kind of get lumped in with them. But I think the Stooges were really like the creators of punk before it ever had that name.
Yeah.
And I mean, you listen to this, you listen to the first and Funhouse, and I mean, it is. I just can't imagine like being 12 or 13 years old and hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, I often say the Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks, is one of the most influential albums. But without this, that wouldn't exist.
Yeah, yeah. That you just don't.
I mean, the White Stripes probably wouldn't exist without this.
I mean, especially White Stripes because they're from Detroit as well.
Yeah.
I mean that. If you dig it, we've done. Have we done a Seattle show? I don't think we have. We've talked about it.
No, we did a Seattle show.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, these regional.
We haven't done a Detroit show.
We haven't done a Detroit show. And I think, I mean, if you look at the arc of music that has come from Detroit, I mean, you've got all the Motown stuff, which is near and dear to my heart. But then you have the Stooges and, you know, people like Ted Nugent and Seeger. I mean, it's on and on and on. And it was
Eminem nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Eminem. I mean, it was, Detroit is an international city.
Yeah.
You know, and there are so many influences. You know, Canada's right across the river. And it's just, I think that most of the music from that era and that area is overlooked.
Yeah. And there was, in the 70s, there was a lot of money in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
With the auto industry. And so people had a lot of disposable income to go to shows, to buy records,
Yep.
to experience, you know, whatever they would.
Iggy is just his own thing. Like, he's kind of the hard rock David Bowie. You know what I mean? And they worked a lot together too.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny you mention that because Bowie produced
this.
Yeah. And this was it was a bit of a departure because the other two albums had, they were more not traditional songs, but this was much more hard rock.
Right.
On Raw Power.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, I would never call the Stooges pop, but I feel like those first two records were not
groove ridden.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
They
but
were
not
groovy.
as heavy as this.
No.
You know? And it's just, these are building blocks or steps that people take and put together, and eventually you get to Ramones. And eventually you get to Sex Pistols, and eventually you get to all of these bands that people, if you ask somebody just out of nowhere to name a punk band, they're not going to name the Stooges.
No.
But I think they should.
They should. Because really, I mean, you know, even with the Sex Pistols, they were influenced by not only the Stooges, but also the Ramones. Which you don't even think about.
No, because the Sex Pistols seem like the hardcore version of the Ramones.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to me what Europe does with the music that comes from here. Because the Ramones basically, I mean, the Stooges started it, but the Ramones took those ingredients, made their own thing, and then that's what kind of set the fire for the Sex Pistols, which is another group that they say started 1,000, 10,000 bands. But, you know, the same thing, the blues died in America, and its revival was because it made its way to England and then circled back to the U.S. there's something really special about the audience in England and in Europe as far as appreciating and reintroducing and promulgating types of music. And if it weren't for that, we probably wouldn't be talking about the Stooges today.
True.
And Ramones.
Well, and I mean, I think that happens with music a lot. The originators of a sound or a scene often get left in the dust.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens.
Yeah.
Because others take that sound and they make it better.
Yeah.
The big thing is Search and Destroy, which so many punk bands have covered.
Yeah.
And, I mean, other bands, metal bands,
Yeah.
everybody has covered it.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole show on Iggy and the Stooges.
Yeah.
For sure. But that's a classic one. It's a classic cover. I mean, the mixture of him with Bowie just, and I know that I don't think they were like super close,
No.
but I think they really enjoyed working with each other.
Yeah, I think Bowie kind of, he'd met Iggy in Europe when they were touring, and he kind of took him under his wing.
Yeah.
Because there were some substance abuses, so Bowie kind of tried to save Iggy.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah, probably did. He's, by some miracle, he's still around today. That is an excellent choice.
You're up. What do you have?
I think, and this is the only Buddy Holly record I have, and I got this at a show years ago. This is a rock and roll collection, Buddy Holly, 2 LP. This is another one. My mom had Buddy Holly Lives, which was a collection when I was a kid on 8-track. And so our record player when I was a kid was a Sound Design, had 8-track on the front, had the radio dial on the front and the turntable on the top. And so when I was done listening to the Beatles albums, I'd put that Buddy Holly 8-track in, and That'll Be the Day is like every time I hear That'll Be the Day, I go back to when I was like 6 years old, jamming this music in the front room of my parents' house. And, I never thought that I mean, as I've gone through as a music fan, it shocks me how sort of forgotten Buddy Holly is. I mean, he influenced the Beatles, and he wasn't around for that long. Out of Lubbock, Texas, the day the music died, everybody knows the whole Don McLean song and story. So much music is that we listen to today is based on Buddy Holly's technique, songwriting, singer-songwriter stature, and image. I mean, he had the big horn-rimmed glasses and, stand-up bass on stage. And he really started a thing, but he was not around long at all.
No.
For it to continue to go. And I feel like when I was younger, in like the first half of my life, you had the Buddy Holly story with Gary Busey, which is, he got nominated for an Oscar for that. That's an incredible movie, an incredible performance. I feel like Buddy Holly in the last 25, 30 years is just almost damn near unknown.
Yeah, well, a lot of those artists from the 50s have just, I'm not going to say unknown.
Right. It was 1950. He was born in 1936 and died in 1959. So he was 22 when he died, and he was like on that tour with Big Bopper and
Yeah.
Richie Valens. He was like the experienced guy, and he was 22.
Yeah. The day the music died.
Yeah. I mean, I love Buddy Holly. I every time I hear him, it makes me happy. It takes me back to that time.
Yeah.
When I was that young, and you know, in my mind, when I heard his music as a little kid, I couldn't have even fathomed that he was as young as he was. I mean, he didn't sound that young. I guess
No.
he kind of, when you look back, he kind of looked young, but there was a maturity, and there was an older guy inside of him, and you know, there are inexplicable things that happen in music that nobody can pinpoint. But
Right.
I think he was kind of the first one to take that country rockabilly, you know, sort of what Elvis was doing at the time too, and turn it into what we know as a singer, songwriter, popular music artist. And he was kind of the guy, because Elvis was always bigger than life. This guy looked like somebody that, you know, messed around in the garage next door.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of new releases from Buddy, and it may have something to do with his estate. I think his wife owns all of his music, but you just don't see much done with his stuff. And admittedly, there's not a huge catalog either.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you turn,
So, I mean, most of the stuff would be collections anyhow.
yeah. And then you have I like the art in this too.
Ooh, that's,
Yeah. You kind of have his portrait there with the smaller portraits, was kind of ahead of its time.
yeah, that's kind of cool.
But yeah, he's one that I know I almost on a daily basis. I think about Buddy Holly.
Really?
And it's because of how often I listened to it as a young child.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was also my mom loved Buddy Holly, and so there was a bonding there early, I think, that really hits home. Anytime I hear his music, anytime
Well,
I hear his voice.
And that goes back to the influence.
Yeah.
Because what we always talk about, but we haven't talked about on this, we all have kind of a musical sensei
yeah.
that older brother, cousin,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
neighbor,
my
parent.
mom was definitely my first one.
Yeah.
But I've been very lucky to have a lot of different ones throughout my life, and yeah, I will always hold Buddy Holly like way up there.
Yeah, and that
maybe
music-
second only to the Beatles.
Really?
Yeah, I mean the Beatles did Buddy Holly's songs. That's another thing. You talk about how original and how great his music is. As good as the Beatles versions of the songs that Buddy wrote and performed are, they don't even touch how great Buddy's versions are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
So next, we're going to skip ahead 1 year
Okay.
to good old 1974
Wow.
and Kraftwerk Autobahn. And I don't know why I still have the plastic. I think I bought it with the plastic on it. And I'm just like,
You know, if I get a record with a plastic on it, the only way I keep the plastic on it is if there's a hype sticker attached to it.
I just, I'm going to call it lazy. Because the cover was in really good shape.
Yeah.
And I think I put it in a sleeve and I'm like,
These guys are absolutely groundbreakers.
oh yeah.
I mean, originators.
Of kind of
Electronic house music.
Yeah, they really are. Without them, you would have no house.
No. I mean,
Well, I mean, electronic music, because they're doing it in 74.
Yeah.
I mean, Devo was kind of doing the same thing, but
With a different
with a
bent,
different
for sure.
vibe.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, they're from Germany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about, and what's crazy to me is how big house and dance music is today. Like folks Jacob's age and your kids' age, they love that kind of stuff. I was talking, I can't remember who it was, but I was talking to somebody that's my age who has a husband that just loves EDM. And he's like my age, like 50.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. But it makes sense because EDM really started taking hold 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. I like EDM.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff that is kind of more song based and less musical based.
Yeah.
More lyric based
Yeah.
than musical based, because the instrumentals don't always do it for me.
No, and that's a lot of people enjoy going to shows that basically consist of a DJ
Yeah.
mixing from one dance or EDM song to another. And that's just not my jam as far as live music, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of people's jam.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in Europe, it's a huge thing.
Yeah. And like you said, it's been going on for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Kraftwerk is just one of those bands that if you're paying attention, it just comes up all the time. And you hear people like Trent Reznor and these enormous artists all trace it back to these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because people take a style and it's like clay, and then they mold it into their own
Yeah.
object. You know,
sure.
they get this pile of clay. It's like, oh, I want it to be like this.
Yeah. Yeah. What's on the back? Did we look? Oh, they're in the back of the car.
Yeah, there
And
they are.
this guy looks like he would have been one of the yogis that the Beatles would have run
Yeah.
into in India.
And they do look very German.
Yeah, for sure. I have no Kraftwerk. Do you have all of their stuff?
No. I only have this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
That
only have
shocks me.
Audubon. Well, here's the thing with Kraftwerk. It doesn't pop up that much in the wild.
Right.
It's a little bit like Brian Eno.
Yeah.
You might see one or two here or there.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, because this was their fourth album.
Oh, okay.
And how many releases have they had? Let's see. 11 albums.
Okay.
And their first album came out in 70. And they're still releasing stuff. I mean, until 2003.
Okay.
But I mean, really, what they came out with in 2003 was the Tour de France soundtracks. So,
Another thing right up your alley.
yeah, cycling. So, yeah, I think the influence for Kraftwerk is just that alone. I think everybody needs to listen to a Kraft, and this is probably
A good entry point.
a good entry point.
Yeah. This is the one that I see pop up more than anything, as far as stylistically, as far as like them being their own thing. This is what a lot of people say where they really gained their foothold in doing what they do.
Yeah, and it's this electronic thing. Just it was a whole new thing, and it gave rise to a whole bunch of different people trying different musical techniques to
Yeah.
create music.
Different sounds. I mean, it not only gave rise to the different types of music and musicians doing it, but it also gave rise to different engineers and people creating instruments to achieve those sounds.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget is, these guys were figuring this out by trial and error trying to find these sounds. Now you can literally just push a button on a keyboard and create
Boom, there it is.
create something that nobody's heard before. So, I mean, that's the other side of it that I think gets overlooked is how groundbreaking it was from a technology standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with Devo.
Yeah.
Those guys really
Tape
pushed,
loops.
yeah, they just pushed the boundaries of what the equipment that they had could do. And that's admirable in and of itself. And then to like create a whole genre of music on top of that, that's amazing.
So that's a little bit of krautrock.
Krautrock. We should
Kraftwerk,
we
Audubon.
We should do a tribute band called Krautwerk, and like just dress up like German inventors and make noises with our mouth, like
With Lederhosen.
Lederhosen. Okay, well, the next band that was like this is the Jayhawks. This is their album XOXO, which I believe came out in 2020. Yeah. I remember hearing my dearly departed friend Kurt Folk introduced me to the Jayhawks in 1994 when their Tomorrow the Green Grass album came out. And it was one of those moments, I would have been 20, and it was one of those moments where I heard this collision of so many of these different disparate types of music just come together. For a lot of people, these guys get called a lot of things. Alternative country is a big thing they throw around. Country rock. They're from Minneapolis, and the Minneapolis scene is much like the Detroit scene, just filled with so many great bands, great artists, and really, really different types of music. But when I first heard the Jayhawks, I was just thrown by the dual lead singing kind of thing. And they didn't always harmonize either. They each had their own voice, Mark Olson and Gary Louris, and somehow that combination of things just went together. Nothing about their music is traditional. If you look at it from a country point of view, they're not necessarily right in line with that. If you look at it from a pop or rock point of view, that early music was also off kilter. So they were just this weird amalgamation of different styles, of different traditions, and I hadn't ever heard anything like that in my life. And that's a very exciting thing, to be as big a fan of music as I was, to hear something that was so original. So I had to mention the Jayhawks because they are an integral part of my musical taste and what I really gravitate toward. And I love the cover of this album because it's this painting of a woman sitting on the floor with her records splayed out, just trying to decide what to listen to. And the back cover is,
the jazz treatment.
Yeah, the jazz black and white treatment. But, I have seen the Jayhawks many times. They reunited with Mark Olson like in 2010 or 11 and did an album and a tour, and that was super exciting, and I loved it. But I also love the direction that the band's gone with Gary Louris as like the leader and the main songwriter. I personally think he's one of the best living songwriters out there right now. And they're the kind of band that after their show, they come out to the merch table and they'll sign stuff. And so I've met him many times, and I always joke that I'm the guy that,
He's
when
like,
I walk out,
"Oh,
and he's like, oh,
he's
shit,
here."
this guy again. But I just, this goes back to what I say a lot, and I try to impart to younger people. I mean, where we are living right now, the time that we're living in, you have Paul McCartney, who just played a show like a week ago, a 3-hour show. People of all ages, of any age, can go see one of the Beatles performing a show right now, which is amazing. To be able to hear this music is a gift enough, but what's really a gift is for us all to be alive at this time, to be able to hear the people who wrote and performed this music play it live in front of your face. And that's why I think we may not be in the golden age of rock and roll or whatever you want to call it, but we are in the golden age of opportunity to have experiences that nobody is going to have. Like 50 years from now, that's not going to be a thing. And I just don't think the music industry now going forward is what it was 30 or 40 years ago going forward to now. So I guess I'm saying if you get a chance, go see these bands, go listen to the people that wrote and recorded this music, play it live, and demand that they play it live, because there's a lot of people out there lip syncing and not actually playing at concerts, which and it's very prevalent in pop music where people pay $500 to go see somebody lip sync, and that's not cool. But the Jayhawks, dig into them. They kind of get lumped in with like Wilco and Uncle Tupelo. Is it Uncle Tupelo?
Which was a Wilco predecessor.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of all get lumped in together. They're the ones that just jumped out to me. And there's also a band called Golden Smog that actually has Tweedy and Gary Louris and guys from both of those bands in it, which that's fantastic.
That whole Americana sound.
Yeah, yeah. But Jayhawks, XOXO, give it a listen, kids.
Yes.
What's your...
that's a good one. Well...
Your next one is a big deal.
Yeah, we're gonna jump ahead into the 80s.
Yeah.
And in 1989, the Beastie Boys released Paul's Boutique. And they could have continued the whole frat boy rock or hip hop from License to Ill.
Yeah.
But they took it a whole different direction.
Yeah. I mean, they basically left New York, left the cradle of Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, and went out to L.A.
Yeah.
And I believe it was the Dust Brothers.
The Dust Brothers.
That they worked with.
Yeah.
And we have talked about this record, both of us, many times. See, John loves their first album because it came out at a time when he was,
frat boy rock.
A frat boy partying. I was a little behind him, but this record, I mean, it's like nothing else anybody had ever heard before.
No, I mean, it was before the copyrights, so there's samples galore on this thing.
I think there are upwards of like 125 or 130 samples throughout this. And it is just interwoven. Like, it sounds like they created all of those samples, but they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically stole them.
Yeah.
But they put them together in these musical pieces that just nobody's ever heard anything like that.
No.
At that time, and nobody has been able to make anything else like that since, which is a huge statement, because, I mean, how easy the technology would make doing a record like this today, but they did that. They did this in 1988 and 89.
Yeah.
Putting this together. This is, it's not just a hip hop masterpiece. It is a musical masterpiece.
Yeah, and the bands it influenced are
You can't even count
It's a
them.
long, long
Yeah.
list. Because now, by them including all these samples now, like, ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I think it's almost like a history lesson. There was a YouTube, and I'll look for it. There was a YouTube video that I saw that someone compiled all the samples from this album and played them one after the other with the original musical piece. And there is, I mean, you've got jazz, you've got dance, you've got hip hop, you've got rock music in here, you've got banjo. It's just all over the place, and it's almost like an encyclopedia of different types of music.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, this has been described as the hip hop Sgt. Pepper's.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, I don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
I remember, and I've told the story before, but just the Cliff's Notes version, I wasn't a fan of License to Ill at all. I still don't own that record, and I never have, and I never will. But I remember watching MTV, and they world premiered Hey Ladies, and I was like, what in the hell is this? I mean, the beat of it, it didn't sound like anything off of that first Beasties record. And I was immediately sucked in. And the whole thing is just a feast for the ears.
Yeah, it really is. And that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, and again, for young, impressionable folks or anybody who is interested, if just look into all of the influences and all of the samples that are on here. And you're going to see a huge swath of artists, types of music. And to be able to combine all that shit and make an album that has stood the test of time. I mean, it's 30, what? It was 1989, so 37 years old almost.
Yeah, and I mean, to come off such a successful album as License to Ill that probably had 5 singles,
Yeah.
and Hey Ladies was the biggest song,
Yeah.
and they had another single from this, but it just,
But this was a slow burn, too. This was not immediately
Yeah.
a hit.
but it was a big chance for the band to take.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because they originally were a punk band, and they were a hip hop band, and then they were just this magical produced band.
Yeah. It's amazing what they did.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that they're still not making music, and that MCA is gone, and he died so young. But I think that their reverence for what the band was with the three of them is what keeps them from
Yeah.
ever doing something
They're
again.
like, Beastie Boys are done.
Yeah, I mean, I never say never. Bands, amounts of money get thrown at bands to do reunions and things, but I don't think we'll ever see that.
No, I think they're a lot like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's a chapter. That chapter's closed. We're moving on.
And is this the 25th anniversary
I believe
pressing?
so.
Yeah, it's great because it's like a triple
it's
gatefold
Yeah.
or quad gatefold. And I've just always loved
And it's, it's funny, even though they're, exiled to LA,
they're
it's still all New York.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you have not listened to Paul's Boutique, grab it and sit down and be prepared.
Yeah. When I was in Brooklyn recently, I really wanted to seek out this location.
I never have.
Yeah.
Good one. My next one is Brutal Youth by Elvis Costello. And this came out in 94. This was kind of like his return to rock record. And I'd heard Elvis Costello before then. At this time, I was 20, and it was actually around the same time when I started listening to Jayhawks and discovered them. But this is the album that we had at the record store. I worked at Musicland, and we had an in-store copy of this, and this starts out with Pony Street. And I put it in the first time. I was like, well, let's play this. And I'm not kidding you. I probably played this in store 100 times because I just loved it so much. And there's a ferocity that this band plays with on this record. And that first song, Pony Street, I mean, this album has a lot of different styles of music, but that first song sounds like 1977 Elvis Costello. And it drew me in, and since then, however long that's been, 30 years, I have been a huge fan of Elvis Costello. And I'll open this up here. You've got a couple portraits and the lyrics here. Here he is as a kid. He's this kid on the front is him, and there's one of his buddies. But then you have him on the back there with his guitar. But it's one of those things. He always, from a visual standpoint, hearkening back to Buddy, he always reminded me of Buddy Holly because he had those horn-rimmed glasses.
Yeah.
And the visual.
I can see why you like him so much now.
The visual was there. And I always, even before I was an Elvis Costello fan, I would see him and immediately think back to Buddy Holly. And he's obviously a huge fan of Buddy Holly's too. But this was in an era where Elvis Declan was also writing music with Paul McCartney. There's a song that he co-wrote called So Like Candy. There were a few on his records that he co-wrote with Paul, but on the Flowers in the Dirt album and the Off the Ground album, there are both a couple co-writes with Elvis. And
that's a
Paul
nice
McCartney.
co-writer.
Yeah, and that's a great kind of baton passing from one generation to the next. But I love his lyrics. I love the attractions. They're just like a punk rock anomaly because everybody referred to them as punk because of the
When they came up.
Yeah. And man, he has just jumped genre. Almost every couple of years, he's doing a different type of music.
Well, he's exploring all sorts of music.
Yeah, and
which is cool. I
yeah.
like that about him.
And he also learned how to notate and actually write music, which he never knew before when he became famous. So he's not only just an originator, he's also a student.
Yeah.
Much like Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Because he did the same thing and learned how to do all that. But I love him. I just saw him recently, and I didn't enjoy the show that much because his voice isn't there. I mean, I've probably seen him 10 times, and that's the first time I've ever walked out of one of his shows and really not had just a complete blast. But yeah, I had to mention this because, to boil down like your influences musically to 5 or 10 artists or records or songs, it's really, really a monumental task.
It really is.
Yeah. But he is absolutely one of them. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't because somebody was a fan. It just presented itself. And sometimes the universe is funny like that.
It is.
But if you haven't dug into Elvis Costello, check out Brutal Youth. I think you'll like it.
That's a good one.
What is next, John?
Well, last on the list is The Strokes. And This Is It came out in 2001. And
this is the alternate cover, by the way.
yeah, this is the alternate cover. This was for the longest time, was the only one to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the other one with the gals behind in the leather glove
Yeah.
is available. That was the European release.
Yeah. Of course, we prudes over here.
Yeah, we can't have any scant nudity.
Yeah. Yeah. No bare bottoms here in
No.
the U.S. This is a groundbreaking
Oh,
band for sure.
and what they did, I mean, they were groundbreaking, but they were really not groundbreaking. They were groundbreaking for the time because the musical landscape had become so muddled, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about one of the great things of the 90s was the vast diversity of music.
Yeah.
But that also muddied everything.
Yeah.
Like you'd turn into a rock channel and you may hear Cherry Poppin' Daddies. You may- it
Brian Setzer Orchestra.
Yeah, it wasn't just all rock.
Sublime.
Yeah. So there was a vast styles,
Yeah.
I guess, were going on. And that kind of muddled the scene, especially in the late 90s. And when the Strokes broke out, they just popped on the scene. They were playing in New York, and they had a little cadre of other groups they were hanging with, which some of them were living in the same apartment building. So they would, they'd be up all night working on music, on each other's music.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of harkens back to the Southern California in the
Yeah.
early 70s when you had Jackson Brown and the Eagles and J.D. Souther and all of those guys intermingling and providing different inspirations to their music.
Yeah, and I've talked about it, but "Meet Me in the Bathroom" is it's a Stroke song, but it's also the title of this documentary that's about that scene.
Oh, okay.
And you don't realize the bands that were in the scene because they didn't all sound alike.
Right.
I mean, there was LCD Sound System. God, now I can't even think of it. TV on the Radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were all these, I mean, those three bands, LCD Sound System, Strokes, and TV on the Radio, sound nothing alike,
No.
but they were from the same scene.
Yeah, they're contemporaries. It's kind of crazy. And the Strokes breaking when they did, I mean, there were the other band from that era that just kind of popped out of that. They weren't from New York, was I think of Jet,
Yeah.
just which basically sounds like a modern day AC/DC.
Yeah.
But the back to basics guitar, drums, bass, and singer thing is really what stood out at that time.
Yeah.
And it got through all that muddled, all those muddy waters, so to speak. And it just, people had an ear for that sound again. And it's really stretched, 27 years into this century. I mean, they, like you said, they were around at the right time, right when September 11th happened. And that may have changed people's musical tastes too.
Yeah. I think it did. But I mean, they were an international phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean, the documentary is great, but when you watch it, you don't even realize how big they were.
Yeah. I think it's easy to forget because, we're getting ready to be 26 years into the 2000s, which absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, this 26 years has gone really, really fast. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago where you
No.
were seeing these guys on every late night talk show, Saturday Night Live, hearing them on the radio everywhere. Of course, their music gets picked up by commercials and different things. I mean, they were a big, big deal.
Yeah, but the influence this had on the kind of music I really love,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
know you like,
Yeah.
because it's more, I guess if you're pigeonholing them, you're going to call them garage rock,
Right.
because
Right.
that's pretty much what, it's a very raw sound,
Yeah.
and then you have Julian Casablancas' voice that's just so perfect for the music.
Yeah. Yeah. And, this, I love the cover and the artwork on this. Let's open up the gatefold since it is one, and then you kind of have their mug shots here.
Yeah. Because they kind of had a bit of a Ramones look.
Yeah.
They wore leather jackets and jeans, and
Yep.
they
Yep. I mean, they
back to the basics, rock
yeah,
and roll.
Yeah, which I'm always on board with. I actually have a copy of this at home.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it might
good.
be an original.
Ooh.
Of this one, not the original
Yeah.
cover, which I would like to have that original
Yeah.
cover. So
I do too. I don't need it,
yeah,
but I want it.
yeah, it's forbidden fruit.
Yes.
You're not allowed to look at that.
And I bought this after because when the Strokes happened, I was full on board with CDs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, the musical industry has taken advantage of me many times.
Yeah, well,
Where I've bought stuff multiple times
Yeah.
on different formats.
Yeah, I mean, I headlong into the CD era. If you had told me, in about 20 years you're going to be buying all this shit on vinyl too, I would have thought you were absolutely
Yeah,
nuts.
you're
and
crazy.
And if you told me what they were going to cost on vinyl,
Oh, yeah.
I would have smacked you in the face. But here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we must love it because, a lot of people who aren't into the collecting vinyl thing, it's not just about collecting. It's about kind of getting back in touch with that person that bought this stuff on CD in the first place.
Yeah,
And, we've said it, it's a time machine.
it really is.
And there's so much about it that is satisfying. And I still can't decide if I like the inconvenience or the stupid prices better. But I'll get back to you on that.
Well, and it forces a listener to be very in touch with the music because, after about 30 minutes, you're flipping a
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, you have to pay attention.
Yeah. And we talked about it on the show that we did with Keith, the Beatles and the album. It's funny because the album for a long time has really not been a thing since digital music. Really, the idea of the album has
Yeah.
gone by the wayside, and a lot of releases today, or since the Strokes, say since 2000 to today, there are some albums that come out that I think artists intend to be listened to as a group of songs. But if you notice, more and more artists are releasing singles now and EPs as opposed to albums because the music industry has just been turned on its ear so many times. But I do love that commitment of putting a record on, listening to those 5 songs, flipping it over, and listening to the other 5.
Yeah.
And, it's only one little part of what makes doing this really worthwhile to me. So that's a good one, dude.
Yeah, the revival of rock.
The revival.
We're
of-
waiting for the next revival.
Yep. Well, my last super influential artist is Miles. I listen to a lot of different types of jazz, and I seek out a lot of different types of information about jazz. And like the family tree thing that we were talking about earlier in regards to like rock and pop, the family tree for jazz musicians is very expansive and hard to keep up with too. One of his big guys early on was a guy named J.J. Johnson, who was from here in Indianapolis, played trombone. And when I first started in jazz band in high school, I had a teacher named Matt James who loved all kinds of music, but really, really loved jazz. And he never said, "Hey, go listen to Miles." I mean, we would listen to the original recordings of the songs that we were playing. And I don't think we may have played So What from Kind of Blue by Miles, but we didn't, I kind of made my way to Miles on my own. And part of that, I think, was because he was even before Michael Jackson kind of a character
Oh yeah.
as much as he was a musician. But he's happens to be the level of musician that maybe no other character has ever been. You know what I mean?
True.
His output was prodigious. His technique is something that trumpet players are always going to try and emulate. His knowledge of music was far and away much more diverse than anybody ever was. And he was born in Illinois in 1926. For him to make that leap from being born in Illinois to being maybe the biggest jazz artist in history is pretty amazing. And when you think about it, everybody's always up in arms about like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducting this person from whether it's country music or R&B or whatever. I think people's memories are very short in the sense that rock is made up of country music. It's made up of rhythm and blues and rockabilly. And, all of that was a predecessor to rock.
Yeah, it's all a stew.
Yeah, and he's also the kind of jazz musician that rock and pop artists always wanted to be a part of. I mean, he's played on plenty of pop artists' albums. He's just a really interesting figure in the history of music, not just jazz. And jazz itself is such a singular American thing. There aren't a lot of things that originated in the U.S. That are revered around the world, but jazz is one of them. And this is my copy of Round About Midnight. This is just a repop that was probably done in the 70s or 80s. It says digitally remastered directly from the original analog tapes. And it's also, on the back here, it's also got a gold promo stamp. But I can't say, I mean, he was the first like jazz guy that I really got interested in the 80s and 90s. But, information wasn't as readily available back then as it is now. So he's always stuck with me. I mean, and his family and his estate really do a great job being shepherds of his catalog. There's almost always a record store day release, which is usually a live compilation or other recordings that hadn't been released before. And I think that's really great too, because they continue to realize the importance of record store day, not just for the people that know him, but for the younger people that might not know him. Because he's been dead a long time too. I mean, he died in 1991.
Wow. Which
is hard to believe.
Yeah.
So that's 35 years ago almost. So, but yeah, Miles is a big part of my appreciation for not just jazz, but really all music.
Yeah, and I think Miles is one of those artists that has to be considered for the Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a troubled person for sure. I mean, I think it's easy to just assume that people like he or Eddie Van Halen or any of these originators of styles who become almost mythical. It's easy to just assume that they're just normal people, but time and time again, as you read about people like that, you find that they're troubled too.
Oh,
and a lot of that trouble is part of the reason for the music.
Yeah,
so,
because that's their outlet.
Yeah. But Miles was he was actually the first one that came to mind. Just a singular figure. And if you haven't listened to Miles. He's got a greatest hits. I think it's a double greatest hits. That's a really good entry point. I mean, there's a lot of different types of jazz that he played. But yeah, that would be a good place to start. But Roundabout Midnight is always fantastic. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, wow. Talking about this type of stuff makes me realize that we need to encourage all of you, share your music with your friends, with your family.
Yeah, just talk about it.
Talk about it. Show them your collection. If they're coming over to your house for the holidays, let them finger through your records. I mean, it is amazing these record shows and record stores that we go to. You see people from all walks of life, all age groups, talking about music.
That's what's so great about it.
And
it's not finding the new stuff. It's just with a collection of people who feel the same way you do.
Yeah, and in today's world where people seem to be on opposite ends of every single thing, the one thing that I notice in my life right now that is something that brings people together and does good in the world is music.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we took this time to talk about our influences, and we want you guys to go to our social media. Tell us about your influences. Name your top 5 influences that you've had through your musical life. And also, while you're there, what else do we want people to do, John?
Like, subscribe, comment,
and share that music.
Sharing is caring.
I can't thank Keith and Jacob enough for the work that they do on this show. It's a big part of my heart and a big part of my life. I want to thank everybody that's listened, and we're coming up on 100 episodes. Can you believe it? It's crazy. So if you haven't subscribed, please do on the YouTube channel. If you haven't gone to Fourth Wall, please check that out because there's all kinds of cool stuff available there that you can explore, and behind the scenes stuff from the show. I just want to thank you, John, for coming along on this journey. This was an idea we had in 17, 18, and we finally started in 19. And here we are. We're getting ready to start our 7th season. Enjoy that music. Share that music.
Get under the influence.
And we'll see you all the next time around.
It's a